This story was submitted by Ghost A7X. This happened about a month ago. It was getting dark out, and my parents decided to go grocery shopping. They like to go late at night so there's hardly anybody there, and so they can get it done quicker. They took my youngest brother with them, which left me and my younger siblings, Sapphire and Renwick, at home. Renwick was upstairs in his bedroom, and Sapphire and I were hanging out in my room in the basement. Eventually, we decided to go upstairs. As we went upstairs, we heard a knock at the door. I knew it wasn't my parents, because they would have just used their keys. We're not allowed to answer the door when my parents are out, but I checked it anyways. Renwick beat me to it, and was already peering out the peephole. He looked pretty confused. I moved him aside and took a look. Standing on the other side of the door was a man that I had never seen before. He wore dark clothing and a black hoodie. He had his hood up, so I could barely make out his face. From what I could see, he looked to be about 35 through 40 years old, and he had long black hair. There was really nothing suspicious about him, but I still couldn't open the door. He knocked for a second time, making Renwick and Sapphire jump. He stood there for another minute, and then he finally walked away. Renwick went back to his room, while Sapphire and I went to the kitchen to get something to drink. There were no clean cups, so I went over to wash some. We have a window above the sink, but I was staring at the sink while I was washing the cups. Suddenly Sapphire gasped, and I looked up at her, and she pointed at the window above the sink. I looked back at the window, and you guessed it, the man in the hoodie was standing there, staring at us. He smiled at us from ear to ear. He didn't look creepy before, but now he did. I quickly shut the blinds and ran to the back door to make sure that it was locked. It was, thankfully. Back in the kitchen, Sapphire and I stood there, not sure what to do. There was a heavy knocking at the front door, and sure enough, it was the man. I tried calling my parents, but neither of them picked up. I later found out that both of their phones were dead. I should have called the police, but I figured it wasn't serious enough, so the three of us went into the basement and locked the door. When my mom and dad got back, we told them everything. They searched around outside and looked around the neighborhood, but they didn't find him. We called the police, but they couldn't do anything. A little later, my dad's brother called and said that he had ran out of gas on the freeway and needed help. It was about a 45-minute drive away, so my dad just went alone. It was getting pretty late by now, so we all went to bed. While everyone was asleep, I sat awake reading a book in my room. As I'm reading, I heard a loud thump from upstairs. Curiously, I made my way out of the basement to see what it was. I stood in the dark living room, wondering where it came from. I heard it a second time. I then realized it was coming from the attic, so I ran up the stairs to my parents' room to wake my mom. Their bedroom door opened when I got to the top of the stairs, and my mom walked out.
You heard it too?
My mom asked me. I nodded and told her it was in the attic. Just as I finished my sentence, there was a third thump. She ran over to the attic door and climbed in. I heard my mom shout,
"Hey, you!"
followed by the sound of breaking glass. I hurried over and poked my head up into the attic. It was, of course, the hoodie guy, and he was charging directly at my mom. She raised her arm and punched his face in, and he stumbled backwards to the ground unconscious. My mom shouted, telling me to call the cops. I called them and told them everything. They said they would be there in 10 minutes, and then they showed up and arrested him. The reason my parents couldn't find him when they looked around was because he was already in our attic. Earlier, when we had locked ourselves in the basement, he had climbed onto the roof and went through a bedroom window into the house and then hid in the attic. The loud thumps we heard were him tripping over things in the dark. Since then, we have had security alarms installed, and thankfully haven't had any further incidents. This story was submitted by Alexito Awesomeness. I was in Michigan with my dad and his friend, and we decided to go river rafting in the evening so it wasn't that hot out. When we got to the rapids area, I noticed there was a man staring in my general direction. It looked like he was trying to stare at me while trying not to give it away, but I was 10 at the time, so I didn't think much of it. We rafted for a couple of hours before we finally landed. There was a path on the side of the river, and occasionally I could see the man walking in the same direction we were going, sometimes staring at me. Now I was a little freaked out. We got to the parking lot where our car was, and we pulled out. As we were driving off, I see the man charging the car, but he didn't get there in time, so we were safe. But the story doesn't end there. I asked my dad about the man who would charge the car at the lot, and he said it was probably nothing. That night I slept on the couch downstairs, and my dad and his friend slept upstairs, so I was alone there for the night. I slept on the couch that was near the TV and a large window. The window showed outside into the woods. It was about a 10-minute drive from the house to the city, meaning that there's not a lot of people around. I stayed up watching TV, and while in the middle of some Family Guy at 2 in the morning, I hear a continuous tapping at the window. I pause the TV and look around. I don't see anything, I whisper to myself. The tapping got louder. I followed the sound of the tapping to the window I was sitting by. I looked outside, and there he was, the man that was by the river, and he looked like he was armed. He sported his best Jeff the Killer face while staring straight at me. My dad's friend had a shotgun by the couch at all times, so I grabbed it, and he left. Or so I thought. I thought I saw a figure walk around the house to the outside entrance to the basement, where he started trying to get in. By then I had called the police, and while waiting for the police, I had the balls to grab the shotgun and creep down into the basement. It was pitch black. I stayed down there, my heart racing and my ears cringing to the knocking sound that I heard.
"Hey, buddy, come outside. I have something for you,"
he said. By that point I had snapped. I ran to the door, slammed it open, and pointed the gun at him. He was pulling out what I think was a gun, right before the cops came and arrested him. The cops asked me about everything, and my dad and his friend awoke to the sound of the cops and asked them what had happened. "Your son said there was an armed man who tried to get in," an officer said. "He said he grabbed a shotgun and charged him to scare him off." To this day, I still can't imagine what would have happened if I wouldn't have had balls of steel. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you check the description for information on how to submit your stories. For those of you who didn't join me for my Q&A, I explained that I go through my submissions and I categorize them. Both of these stories were in a folder that I wasn't sure how people would react to them, whether they would believe them or not, or whether they were in the realm of possibility. I figured rather than me just try to be the judge of whether a story is realistic or not, I'll ask you guys what you think of them and help me better categorize them. That being said, make sure you let me know down below what you thought of these stories. I plan on trying to put up an extra video, much like this one, of stories where I'm not quite sure if people would believe them or not. That way I can get a little bit of feedback from you guys, as well as you're still entertained, and I'm reading everyone's stories that are being submitted. If you're interested in getting another dose of daily horror, make sure you smash that like button so I know this is something you're interested in. And also, just in case you missed my video I put out last night, I'll have it linked in the description, as well as on the screen. And if you're still looking for more scary content, I also did my first sleep paralysis video over on Fear Your Maker. I'll make sure to include a link to that as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.